Hey, welcome on in, everyone, and welcome back for all of you that tuned in for episode number 2. This is Club Deportes TV en Inglés, and I'm your host, the Smash, Justin Simmons. And this week of all weeks is exactly the reason why we have a show like this, because here in the ATX, we have gone from this MLS to ATX to this. It is match week. It is about to happen, my friends, and I know that I'm thrilled. I'm thinking that you have to be thrilled as well. We've been waiting a long time. We're going to talk about all of that that's going to be happening and more. First off, though, let me give a big thanks to head coach Nick Cowell over at St. Edward's University and my good friend from Sports Guys Talking Wrestling, Stu Myrick, for joining me on the maiden voyage last week of Club Deportes TV. For week number 2, obviously, we're going to be talking about the new team in town. I'm going to have Phil West on a little bit later to kind of go over some of the things that ATXFC will be bringing on board, as well as getting you ready for match day. We'll have a player-for-player preview as well. And of course, we're going to talk about Champions League. But before that, we are going to talk about a little local soccer going on here in the ATX. He's a good friend of mine as well. I've known him since the throw-in days. He's my good friend. My good friend, the president and GM of the Central Texas Lobos and the Hornets, my good friend David Walding. And David, thank you again for joining me here today. I know you have a lot going on. You've been running around trying to get everything set because besides the new team that's getting ready to play this weekend, you have a busy weekend coming up as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We're having our first scrimmage game for the CTX Hornets. We're going to be traveling to San Antonio to play a preseason match against the San Antonio Athenians to try to get ready for that. And then Sunday coming up, we have our open tryouts for the Central Texas Lobos. So we'll hope to see a lot of people out there on Sunday.
So let me get this straight just to make sure that everybody's paying attention. You did say an open tryout, right, for I'm assuming higher skilled level players, and you're saying it's this Sunday.
Yes, we're going to do that this Sunday at 5:30 at our field, which is now open for use for us. It's at 2180 Woodward Street here in South Austin. So we're going to be inviting anyone who thinks they have the skills to be out in a Gulf Coast Premier League team coming out. It's going to be free. We've got our sponsors covering our costs so we can make it free to everybody to come on out and give it a try.
Wow, so you're saying free tryout. Just show up, bring the cleats, bring the shin guards, sign the waiver, and get ready to try out.
That's absolutely right.
That's awesome, and that's really cool that you were able to put that together, especially you know how soccer can be, especially in the United States, where unfortunately some of the more talented kids get priced out of the game before they can even really get that technical coaching that is needed to really develop their skills. You're essentially giving maybe some of those kids that kind of fell out of the programs, so to speak, that kind of just fell out of the game because they got the price just too much. You're giving them a chance to, possibly pick up the game that they love and get back into it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's always been part of our mission with the Central Texas Lobos and with our youth academy is to make sure we include everybody. We don't exclude based on economics. You and I have talked about this. I'm not a fan personally of our pay-to-play system in the United States. And
I don't think most people are.
I hate to see kids not get that opportunity just because they don't have the economic resources. So that's exactly what we're doing. Come on out. If you make the team, there's no charge to play for us. There's no charge for the tryouts on Sunday. You really don't have anything to lose. You just have to have the skills and be ready to commit, practice, play hard, travel with us on the road, commit to the season. And then if you're good enough, we'll give you a shot.
Well, this is not only for the players, but also for the fans. I know you obviously want people to watch both of your teams play. You do have a season. You do compete at a professional level. And again, giving these kids kind of I want to say an extra rung on the ladder, so to speak, where they caught on. And this way they can start climbing to see if they can really utilize the skills that they have that for one reason or another just kind of went overseen. But you do have 2 schedules coming up. That's what I was going to tell you. Check this out. I know you've been so busy, but just to remind you, you have a logo. You have a new logo, but you went from here. I still got my old school one right here. I'm going to need to get a new one. We're going to need to get a new one here soon. But you got the new logos. You got a new team. Tell me more about the Hornets before we get into the whole Lobos thing and the schedules. I wanted to know this because I missed out a little bit. So you got the women's team started just about a couple of seasons ago. How is that working out? And can't you tell some of the fans what to expect from them?
Well, I can tell you where we're at and where we're going. We launched the team in February of 2020. So if that gives you any indication, we instantaneously then got shut down with COVID concerns. So we were supposed to have our inaugural season last year in the United Women's Soccer second division. Season got canceled. We weren't able to play. We did have our coach came down with COVID. He was out for a couple of months. We had players with family members that were affected. So we basically didn't have any play last year. This year, the league contacted us and offered us the opportunity to move up into the first division. So we've made the jump to D1 without having played yet. So we're going to be playing this season starting in May. Our first game is on May 8th, I believe. Up in Dallas, and we'll be playing in the first division against teams like FC Austin Elite and San Antonio Athenians and Lone Star Republic. It's going to be a challenge for us. So I can't tell you exactly what to expect from the team since we haven't played yet. So
no, that's
but I know that we're going to put together as strong a product as we can. We're bringing in a lot of college players. But we do need and want to find local players who, kind of like with the Lobos, who may have been overlooked, didn't have the chance. Maybe they didn't have the resources for college or get the scholarship, or maybe they just graduated from high school and went to something else, but really have that high skill level. If you're a local player here in Austin or Hays County, just contact us and we'll give you a look.
Well, you heard our studio mascot very excited about everything that's going on with the Lobos and the Hornets. So you're also looking players for the Hornets. Are you going to have a tryout maybe in the near future, or do you have that team all set for the most part?
I would say we don't have it all set. We have some positions open. Coach Medina, I've been speaking with him about that. We had some tryouts last weekend. We don't have any other tryouts scheduled, but what we're offering is for any ladies who want to have a shot at the team, get in touch with us, and we'll just do an individual scheduled tryout at one of our practices, bring you on, have you try out with the team at one of our regular practice sessions. They're practicing on Monday and Wednesday right now.
So you're saying, we got some breaking news right here on Club Deportes TV, is that tryouts would be available for women players that are looking to get involved with the Hornets. Obviously, you still have some needs that are coming from you, and I know that if anybody's going to know these teams, it's going to be you. But to have a couple of open opportunities still, I know there's a lot of players that kind of missed out on some college seasons, maybe some that are coming back from injury and things just didn't work out where they were at previously playing, or they kind of give up on the dream for one reason or another, and now this is a chance to chase it again.
Yeah, we have seen more of a drop-off with the some of the women on the women's game over COVID break. So for whatever reason, the women players were more likely to just take a break from the game and didn't get back as quickly as some of the men did. So that's why we're saying, come out. Maybe you've hung up, you think your cleats and don't think you're at that level anymore, but give it a shot. You never know. And we'll have you practice with the team and see. We are bringing in, like I said, a lot of college players. We've got probably about 7 or 8 college players signed, but none of them are here yet. All the seasons are still going on. And we do need that solid depth because it's going to be a grueling season of, 10 games in 10 weeks. So we need to have the depth on the roster and give an opportunity for the local talent to shine and come through.
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that you're giving, everybody a chance, both men and women, to make a local squad and to chase that dream again. And I hope somebody takes you up by seeing this here on Club Deportes TV, that somebody will take you up both man, woman on both offers. Let's go back to the Lobos just a little bit.
Sure.
Since you do have the tryout coming up this Sunday, again, another one, like you mentioned before, a free tryout at 5:30 on Sunday. So everybody's going to have to rest up a little easy, right, on Saturday night to be ready. What can they expect for the tryout? Is it going to be something really grueling? Are you looking to get in a couple of full-time matches? I've been to a couple of these before. I might try yours. I'm not saying I'm going to do well, but I might show up.
Come on out. We'd love to have you. See what you got. You never know. Haven't seen you play in a while, so.
A paceless holding midfielder or possible center forward? No, nobody needs a Cuauhtemoc Blanco without the skills, right?
But the Lobos will have actually a game. I think the Austin Men's Soccer Association is starting up this weekend as well.
Okay.
They've been paused for about a year. So we're really looking at new players to come out. We'll go through with Coach Leo Morales from Argentina. He's our coach for the season. He'll be going through some drills and some practices to see the skill level, and then some scrimmages, probably some one-on-one. And you never know what he's going to throw at you, so just come prepared. It's not going to be, I would say, a grueling tryout, but it's really just to evaluate the skill level and see the level that you're at and if you can fit the need for the team. The Lobos, I think we have a large pool to draw from, but what we want to see is competition and depth at every position.
Yeah, because you're going to need more than just the starting 11. Obviously, you're going to need some depth. You're going to need some practice squad players. And as they used to say back in the old school days, you're going to need some taxi squad players. You're going to need some guys that are going to be able to pull up and fill in if something comes up. Because like you mentioned with the Hornets, while this tryout might not be so grueling, the season is definitely going to be grueling.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've learned, because we're in the Gulf Coast Premier League and we travel to Louisiana.
Let's take a look at the schedule really quick. I know we have that for you.
Oh, yes. And this year, there's various reasons for this, but as you see from our schedule, we start out all 5 road games to start the season. So we'll be going on the road for the first 5 games all in a row. We normally don't do that.
What's with Austin teams being on the road at the beginning of the season?
I'm sorry?
What's with Austin teams being out on the road for multiple games to start the season, right?
Well, yeah, I can give you an explanation for us. It's because we play at Bob Shelton Stadium at Hayes ISD. And with the delay of the school season for COVID and then the delay because of the ice storm, they don't have their graduation until May 29th. So the stadium's not available until June. So It was a question of playing at a different facility or delaying our home games until June. We decided to do that because we've had such a good relationship with them. It's a great location for us. We want to keep our home field advantage going there. So we wanted to make sure to keep our location stable and not be playing half the season in one place, half the season somewhere else, maybe playing in front of closed stadiums for a while. So we worked out with the league and the stadium just to delay our home games to June. And then starting in June, we can have open stadiums and no interruptions for the rest of the season.
Well, it's definitely better than an Aztec 2.0 situation where they had to move midseason because of the flood. We talked a lot about how players could play for both of the Hornets and the Lobos, both men and women. Mm-hmm. How do fans get tickets for these games? Where should they be looking to get tickets? And what can they do to help support the team or teams?
First and foremost is come out and support the players. Come out to the games, cheer for them, buy a flag or something to come out and show your support.
You still got those scarves, right?
Yes, tickets are available at our store online at www.centexlobos.com. We do a flex pass, so you can buy tickets available, and they're able to be used at any game for either team throughout the season. So you can buy the ticket and then if you miss a game for whatever reason, you can use them at the next game. It's not like you're going to lose the ticket.
How much are people looking to spend? I mean, this seems like it would be a really nice, affordable outing for families.
Yeah, absolutely. So children under 13 are always free at all of our games. And tickets are $6 beyond that. If you go on in the next couple of weeks, they're actually on sale, so you can get them for a little discount. We'll also have them available around town. We'll have them at our sponsor locations, so South Austin Beer Garden and La Office of Tanya Rosamond. So that's a south and a north location, probably at Sunsal Restaurant, which is on East 7th Street and near Pleasant Valley. It's on Cayes. So we'll have them around town. We might have some additional locations we can post, but easiest way is to just go online, or you can just show up at the stadium and purchase one at the gate. We'll have a ticket operator there.
Awesome, man. Final question for you, David, because
Yes.
we're running out of time here. Like I mentioned before, is match week. You joined us on the throw-in back in the day when we were just talking about this. It was just a pipe dream. Nobody really knew if it was a for sure thing. And now it's a for sure thing. It's happening. What does it mean to you as a person that owns and runs two soccer teams, has been a lifelong fan even when soccer wasn't even around in Louisiana?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's, I don't know. It still is surreal in some respects. So I was one of those logging on in minute number 1 to try to get my season tickets. I've got them. So I'm one of the lucky 15,000 or so with season tickets. So I will be at the home opener in June. I will be at most of the games I can get out to that don't conflict with our schedule. And just to have the opportunity to support a local MLS club is pretty astounding and amazing. I think it's only going to be great for the sport in general in the city, and it's going to be good for our club and our players. And I see it especially working with the kids. Having that local team that they can just really root for and aspire to has been really it changes the perspective for a lot of the kids who are playing right now, who are maybe 6-7 years old, but they see that as now a goal. Whereas a few years ago, they never would have thought, oh, I'll grow up and play for, FC Dallas or something. That wasn't really in the mindset of the kids. But for Austin FC, I think they really see it as a possibility and an option. So I think it's going to be great for the kids growing up to have that shot.
You bring up a terrific point. I couldn't have said all the stuff you said before. I mean, that was great. But when you touched about the kids, and you bring up such a great point, because it really reminds me of my childhood. I didn't grow up in Austin. My dad, though, my family, we would come up to visit some family. And it was during those times when the Dallas Cowboys were training out at St. Edward's University. And I was just like those ages that you were describing right now. And I was growing up, I wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy, right? Now these kids that are in this local area that get to see these players train and get to go to the games here soon enough are going to be dreaming about the same thing. And it's going to be a sport, regardless if you're a player, a coach, a referee, or some other part of the training staff or front office that can take you almost anywhere in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm also excited just to see what else this brings to Austin, just because we have the team in the stadium. I'm talking, international games. I know that there was some talk about the Manchester Derby coming here a while back that never happened, but I think now it's a real possibility. The Champions League competition, why not? Austin could be in the mix for that. I mean, so I think there's all kinds of things that we can see. I know you'll be seeing Liga MX preseason here. Yeah. There's no doubt in my mind you're going to see that as an annual occurrence. So I think just all of the things that this brings with it are going to be great for the city.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how it transpires. I hope you get to enjoy at least part of the game on Saturday. I know we talked about you're going to have to be doing some work out on the road, got some scrimmages, but I know you'll tune into the app. I want to thank you again, David Walding, the president and GM of the Central Texas Lobos and the Hornets. Thanks again, man, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's great to see you, and I appreciate you having me on. I really am grateful for you for having me on to talk about this.
For real. And don't forget, folks, go out, check out the tryout. And if you're a woman player, contact you directly, right? You still need to fill out some of that squad.
Absolutely. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, email, phone, however.
All right, man. It sounds great, David. Thanks again for joining me. We are going to have you on again at some other point.
Absolutely. Anytime.
All right, man. Well, that does it for this first portion of the show. Coming up next is going to be another good friend of mine, and we had him back on during the throw-in days as well. It is my good friend, the guy who wrote the book on like MLS soccer. It is the one, the only, now newly a columnist for the Striker Texas. My man, Phil West. Phil, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Oh, obviously, you know exactly how I'm feeling. This week has kind of been my week. You know, it's match week. Austin FC is getting started. I also had my team win in CL competition. And then I don't know if you watch basketball, but he did play for Real Madrid at one point. But Luka Doncic with a little one-hander? Come on, man. That was sweet. I guess they're not, everybody's a soccer fan here, not a lot of basketball fans, at least not yet. Hey, Phil, let me tell you, you're a little close on the camera. Can you just kind of smidge it back a little bit? Just a little. We want to get your whole face in there.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Just a little. I like the haircut, though. Looks good.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Producers, how does that look?
It's been pandemic.
Jorge?
That's kind of how it's been the past year.
That look good?
Good.
Okay, they say you're looking good. I think you're looking good too, man. It's been a long time. That wasn't me. I don't play the buttons. You hear my hands right here. Hey, so it's been a long time since I've seen you.
Yep.
But I mean, when it comes to MLS, I feel that there is no better person to go to than to catch you, and of course all your other columnists that are on the Striker Texas. But again, you wrote the book. You talked to me about the history of this league, and I'm not sure if you caught the end of what I was talking about with David right now. But let me ask you, just straight up, when it comes to Austin FC, you know, McConaughey's team, the Minister of Culture, bringing it with the new ownership group, going from possibly taking the Crew and instead getting a brand new expansion team. There's so many things that that come with an expansion, a newly developed team instead of having one built in place. But how excited are you that match day is just essentially less than 48 hours away?
All right.
And I'd say I'm about a 15 right now. It's so good. The commissioner was here last week, and it really hit home being in the stadium almost completed and seeing the work that's been put into it. Just kind of thinking back, 2013 when MLS's Austin first started up, just kind of how much work has been done to get this team here and how many weird, unpredictable things have happened. I mean, it's been 27 months since the team got announced here, and just to see it finally come to fruition and just see this be game week is phenomenal, and it's incredible, and it's so exciting. And I'm really, really, really excited to see what this year is going to bring.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it has been a odyssey to get here. I remember seeing you downtown at City Hall, like amongst the rest of us, trying to kind of put in our 2 cents to try to help bring the team to Austin. And again, I'm still pretty surprised that there was the amount of opposition that there was to it. But in the very end, it came to fruition. And in a weird way, the pandemic, since I guess it kind of threw everything else out of sync, it really didn't make it seem like we lost that year when it came to Austin FC, because now they're just getting ready to play because everybody was just trying to figure out how to play last season.
Yeah, this is a really good year for us to come into the league. I mean, obviously Nashville and Miami were expansion teams last year, and that really just sort of threw things into a little bit of chaos, particularly for Miami, who was, trying to open up a new stadium and again, Nashville, they had a USL team there. I mean, Miami did too, but this was, essentially kind of an absolutely brand new franchise. So to have the runway that they had, I think has really helped the team coalesce and be able to get all the ducks in a row. And It's also hasn't really slowed the stadium construction, which is pretty incredible. We still have this opportunity to, open in June of 2021 and hopefully have, if not a full stadium, closer to a full stadium than some of the other teams will be as they're opening up. As you know, Houston's going with about 30%. Dallas is going with about 50% to start out the season. So, and obviously you want to do the right thing. You want to be prudent. You want to think about public health. Like Garber was saying last week, get vaccinated, basically, if you want to be in the stands, if you want to see us return to normalcy, get your vaccines. And yeah, but it's going to be an incredible season, I think. And just to see everything coming together the way that it has is I just feel that we are, as a city, so fortunate to have this opportunity to be in when we are. And I think it's going to be phenomenal Saturday. I think it's going to be phenomenal June 19th. And I think it's going to be an adventure all season long.
Well, you talked about how everything's kind of fallen into place. The front office has done their job. I think they hyped out the city. You see the billboards. You have La Murga. They're always practicing. They've made their presence known. I know you just wrote up an article on the Striker Texas about one of my good friends, Brad, and his journey to get them to release the green goalkeeper jersey. So I know there's a lot of people that are ecstatic, getting ready for match day. I know there's match day parties going on as well. But Phil,
all right.
Yeah, all right. It's going to be a good time.
Also wrote about that in the Striker. That came out a little bit earlier. Just the enthusiasm is palpable. You can feel it throughout the city. The fan who was trying to get the Verde keeper kit. That's just a really cool example of the kind of creativity. He went on this basically one-person Twitter campaign, and now he's working with his wife and other fans, and they branched out into video. And on Twitter earlier this week, once the story came out, that turned into the Stuvers reaching out to him and getting some momentum behind a charity that they're working with. So, that's the other kind of element of this too, that, obviously you've got players on the field. Claudio Reyna, I think, has put together a really interesting team, but you also have this fan activity. You also have the kind of charity things that come along with it. And you have this real kind of sense of community. I know certainly the front office has been doing that with 4ATX Foundation. They've been doing a lot of really good work in the run up to the first season here. Everybody's been doing a lot of work to lead up to this moment. And now,
and definitely,
it's like kind of a wedding in a way, right? So all this work goes into it, and then you have this special day, and then whoosh, it's going to be gone in 2 hours.
And Phil, I'm totally understanding about all the work is put into it, but now I have to ask you, and this is where we're going to have a little back and forth now, because I do have a graphic that I kind of was able to put up for us here to take a look at. Let's kind of take a look at what I think might be the starting 11 for this Saturday. I know that there were some injuries that have come up, and as you can see, I did a hasteful job here, but I think I want your expert opinion on it here. Do you think I might have nailed what our starting 11 might look like? Obviously, Ring being named captain just a couple of days ago. I heard that Redis took a bit of a knock. He is probable, but we're going to be lacking in depth up front. So for everybody that's listening and watching, essentially this is our Austin FC, preview of the starting 11 possibly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that looks pretty spot on. Pereira, it looks like he's really impressed in the preseason. He is a rookie. He is straight out of the Super Draft. He is straight out of Virginia Tech.
And they just named him ACC Player of the Year.
Definitely, could switch him out with Fagundes there. Fagundes obviously has a lot of MLS experience. He's only 25, and he's got nearly 10 years of MLS experience. It's pretty amazing how early he started and how many games he was able to log with the Revolution. So, I think that he would definitely be a candidate in the starting lineup if they don't feel that Pereira is ready quite yet. But that feels pretty spot on. The only other question I would have is Romagna versus Cascante. And Klima's looked really good too. The other first round super drafter, he's looked really good. But again, obviously, to kind of throw him out there against Rossi and Vela, maybe a little bit premature, right? So.
Yeah, that would be a little bit of drop in performance a little bit, but you never know when he's going to be able to reach up to the same style and the same ability as them. But I do have to ask, again, we're very thin at the center forward striker position. I'm not really sure how Josh Wolf is going to play this just yet. because it seems that Hosen right now has been leading, unofficially in preseason goals. I know he had like about 5. I know he absolutely just dominated the last couple of matches he played in. But with the injury that had occurred to some of the depth, I'm assuming that we're going to probably see like Perea a little bit earlier than what maybe the team would like. But how do you feel about Redis? Do you think him and Cecilio, do you think that they have really found their stride here in Austin? Have they been able to adjust and really fit on this team, and as well as Pochettino?
Yeah, I think they're getting there. I think with Dominguez and Pochettino, they're obviously going to have a lot of pressure on them being the designated players. And I think that it's maybe going to take them a little bit of time to work into things. One of the things that I've been really impressed with, and actually this is another name we should mention as a possible slot in along with front three, would be, from like Travis, Kukuda Mane, right? So he might be a possible person to slot in, at least in a super sub role. I interviewed him a few weeks ago as part of the media day that they had with him, and had asked him about the learning under Josh Wolf. And he talked about just how cerebral it was and how mental it was. And so I think that, again, I wouldn't be surprised if Austin starts a little bit slower in the season, just because they are a first-year team and they're all trying to coalesce and gel, and they've had this kind of relatively short amount of time to be with each other compared to, say, the more established teams. But I do think that players like that are going to be really valuable. And Mane, having been in MLS for the time that he has and having the experience with other teams, I think he could be really crucial player pretty early on, especially like you said, Schoenfeld does have the injury. They do seem a little bit thinner in central forward than we would like. They do have that DP spot open, so maybe stuff's being reserved there. Maybe there's another center forward coming along in the middle of the summer if they don't use that in another position. Yeah,
considering that the depth is a little bare at the striker position, I figure now with the injuries that have occurred up front. And, when a player takes a knock like Redis, yes, it seems like he should be okay to go on Saturday, but you don't want to see him like in a Christian Pulisic situation where they're kind of carrying something with them the entire season and it affects their play, especially on season 1, trying to get adjusted to a new coaching staff, a new country, and a new league.
Yeah, I think they're gonna play it pretty smart. I wouldn't want to necessarily call them cautious, because there might be some negative connotations around that. But I think they're going to be very, very smart about how they use the players and monitoring them for injury. Again, it is a long season. There's 34 matches. First 7 are on the road, and there's probably not additional competitions unless they do manage to get in the U.S. Open Cup. The U.S. Open Cup's really strange this year. It's basically your first 3 matches, and Austin has their first 3 on the road, and they're all pretty considerably tough matches, I would say. So you've got L.A., then you've got Colorado, and then you've got Minnesota right after that. So that's a challenging 3 matches straight out of the gate. But I do think that we're going to see them come on in the second half. So there's not necessarily a need to rotate like right at the start of the season, but I think they will be very conscious about managing injury time.
All right, Phil, give me 1 second. My producer says that we have a video that we can roll of Cecilio Dominguez, kind of giving his thoughts about how things are going to go. So why don't we take a listen in, and I'm going to have my producer here help with the translations just in case, okay?
Okay, good, yeah.
Terrific.
Hola Cecilio, ¿cómo estás? Ya estás a un paso de iniciar el primer partido. Vienes de un fútbol donde, especialmente digamos en México, donde la prensa se ataca mucho, donde en Paraguay también la prensa es un poco más ruda que aquí. ¿Qué presión hay diferente a lo que ya has vivido tú en el Austin FC?
Creo que acá la única presión que tenemos es de estar bien nosotros y de jugar, porque por lo que dije recién, es muy confortable estar en un club como este, en una liga como de Estados Unidos. Uno solamente se preocupa por jugar, así que creo que por ahí, entre comillas, la única preocupación sería estar a top y dar al máximo.
¿Es mejor eso para un jugador o prefieres la presión de la presión que existe alrededor de la pasión en otros países.
Es que son cositas que también, de por ahí la presión de la gente es buena hasta cierto punto, pero también cuando uno tiene este confort, digamos también entre comillas, del club que te tiene bien, que te tiene todas las herramientas para que uno esté bien, uno se dedica solamente a jugar, no hay excusas. Entonces, para nosotros, eh, o particularmente a mí me gusta mucho esto, porque solamente mi foco está en el campo, mi foco solamente está en jugar. De por ahí en otro lado, muchas veces, y ya me pasó, que muchas veces la cabeza está en otro lugar que también a nosotros los futbolistas nos importa mucho, pero en realidad tenemos que estar muy enfocados en lo que es el campo, y yo creo que acá en Estados Unidos, o al menos en Austin, que estoy acá, yo siento eso, siento ese confort de que mi alrededor va a estar bien, entonces mi cabeza solamente está en el campo para hacer lo que sabemos hacer.
Thank you. Hola Cecilio, ¿cómo estás?
Translation. Obviously, yo hablo español, pero es muy mal. There's no way I would have been able to figure that all out on my own. But Phil, you heard it there. He seems to have made a really comfortable transition here to Austin, as we kind of just talked about the new players that have arrived from South America. Obviously, he already has some chemistry with Redis, and it seems that Austin FC is really banking on those two big-name forwards that essentially their first signings of the offseason to really come in and make an impact. I wanted to ask you, Phil, because you kind of alluded to it before that interview. I wanted to ask you, how should the expectations be for maybe some fans that are new to MLS, that are just following MLS? Because obviously the front office has done a great job with the branding, and other fans have been spreading the word, and you see the town's verde, and it's probably going to be very verde on Saturday. But right. When we talk about performance on the pitch, it's going to be a long season. I believe we have a schedule, a graphic of the schedule that we can show you here in a bit. But the first portion, oh, they're saying all right, nice. But the first portion of the season, like 6 games on the road, and then they're going to come back. 7, thank you. And then come back, start off June 19th here in the middle of the hot summer against San Jose. Now we're only playing a few teams. We're not playing the whole league. So they changed the schedule this year a little bit, right?
Yeah, so I mean, the first 7 on the road, like we talked about, I mean, the thing too with that schedule is most of those teams were playoff teams last year.
Exactly.
So, and
again, the defending
the
champion.
playoffs were a little bit more expanded last year. There were 8 in the West, 10 in the East. There's going to be 7 in each conference this year. But still, I mean, you've got a lot of really good, high quality people who are right at the front end of that schedule. And even a team like San Jose as the first home match, San Jose is wildly enigmatic, and their defense is it can stymie people. I mean, they've had matches where they've lost 5-1, but they've also had matches where they won 4-3 last year. So it's kind of like the Forrest Gump box of chocolates, right? So I think it's going to be again in the early going. As they learn, as they find their footing, I think it's going to be a challenging first part of the season. But hearing Dominguez and hearing him talk about being comfortable in the transition, I think is something that is it's reassuring. I mean, obviously, the players are going to be projecting calm and confidence going into the season. But I do think with, like you were saying, with Dominguez and Redes, having them together at Guarani to work together for half a season, I think was great. I think that was a good place for him to transition and kind of get back into game form. And obviously with Austin coming together, I mean, a lot of them came early. Of course, we had the winter storm that kind of interrupted everything, but I think what they might have missed in that week of practice where nobody could go anywhere because there was snow everywhere. I think in terms of camaraderie, I think in terms of having the team kind of come together and weather that weather crisis, I think is good. I think I have really good feelings about where kind of the team camaraderie and chemistry is going into the season, just based on everything that I'm seeing in the player interviews from the coaches. And I think that will translate. And I think that that's going to be good because, yeah, like I said, it might be real tough sledding early on. And, if you're a player, if you're a fan, if you're at all emotionally attached to the team, don't let that early part of the season get you down, even if it does look like, maybe they're not doing as well as you would think. I mean, I think playoffs is a very good realistic goal for the first year. They've talked about that, and I think it's doable. I mean, it's just over half the teams in the West that are going to get in. The West is really competitive. If they don't get in the playoffs first year, it's not the end of the road. I mean, NYCFC under Reyna, their first year, they didn't get in the playoffs, but then they got in the playoffs basically every year since after that. So if it takes a little bit of time and takes some gelling and takes getting another DP to have a full season, then I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. But I do have hopes that they can get into the playoffs. And I do think that if Wolf's system works and if the DPs play like I think the DPs can play, then I think they're going to be right in the mix. And I think all those games towards the end of the year for playoff position are going to be really important and really compelling, which is great.
So that backloaded schedule where most of the games will be played at home on the back end might be more helpful in the long run, even though they're going to have this extended stay on the road, so to speak, to start off the season. Realistically, MLS, the town, everybody's done a really great job of building up this first match. It's McConaughey versus Farrell. It is LA, the real LA of the LA of Texas. I mean, I don't know how else you can write a better script. Apparently the people at Fox who are going to put on this game, that's going to be their job. But in this contest, with Chicharito coming off of a less than stellar performance in his first season in MLS, it looks like he's going to be looking to prove something. And what better target than an expansion team? And I'm sorry, you have to excuse me. I do have L3 fans that are producing this show, so they really love Chicharito. Yeah.
Well, Chicharito, I mean, with the Galaxy, that's going to come a little bit later. I mean, with LAFC, you've got Vela, you've got Rossi, and I think they're going to really challenge the Austin back line. Chicharito is going to come a little bit later in the season. But yeah, there's some tough matches. I mean, Colorado runs a lot in that second game. They've got a lot of really good, interesting young players. Cole Bassett's one to watch for. I actually, the striker, picked Minnesota to win MLS Cup, and that's the third game, in Minnesota, which I'm going to try to get to, by the way, because I want to see Reynoso in person.
Tell me right now, what makes Minnesota so good? Obviously, Columbus. And this I do know for a fact. They were returning everybody that starting 11 that won the MLS Cup last year. So what makes Minnesota the trendy pick for you?
Well, Minnesota was 20 minutes away from getting to MLS Cup, and they just had this bizarre collapse to the Sounders because the Sounders did Sounders things during the playoffs. But Bolo Reynoso is their new ACM over from Boca Juniors. He came in, I think, July, I want to say, last year. And in the playoffs, he was phenomenal. He was lights out. He had 2.2 assists per 90 minutes through 3 playoff games. That's phenomenal. If you extrapolate that out through the whole season, that's phenomenal. They have this new guy, Ramon Abia, also from Boca Juniors. He's coming on as a number 9. They're just built really, really well. And they were so close to getting an MLS Cup last year, and I think things set up really nicely for them. I mean, the trendy picks, LAFC, Columbus, they're really good teams. The one thing I would say about Columbus is that you haven't had an MLS team repeat as an MLS Cup winner since 2012 with the Galaxy. So it's really, really hard to do. In that conference, you've got New England, you've got Atlanta, you've got Orlando, you've got Philly. They could all conceivably get there. I mean, Columbus is loaded, and getting Kevin Molino from Minnesota, even though he's out now, I think 6 to 8 weeks, that's going to be a big addition. But again, you have to also, who's going out for Gold Cup, who's going out for Copa America, you have to factor all those things into play as well. And I don't think Minnesota is going to be touched by that as much as maybe some of the other teams. So, but it's going to be interesting. I mean, again, like I was saying, did a podcast last week where we were talking about just our playoff projections, and I could just make a case for so many teams to make it in to the playoffs.
And it's funny that you say that, because I was going to ask you, as a guy who's a huge fan of the Premier League, and every Sunday or every match day is a fight, because even the lowest level team will eventually be able to park the bus and get some points against even the best teams out there. How should a viewer that isn't familiar with MLS watch MLS? Because I know there's a lot of people that are into soccer in the ATX and around the world that want to follow this team, but don't necessarily know too much about the league. What would be like a nice little starting point for them besides your book?
Well, my book would definitely be a good starting place. Subscribing to the Striker Texas to get the lowdown on Austin, Houston, and Dallas. And again, not just MLS, but there's USL coverage, there's NWSL coverage, there's college coverage. I mean, it's pretty comprehensive throughout, the entire state. So, but yeah, getting to know those rivalries and getting to know those teams a little bit more. I have a new feature that we just started today called Know Your Enemy, which is kind of a fun look. It's a mix of some serious analysis and then just kind of some pop culture type things about the clubs as well. So that is something where I'm hoping that newer fans can get introduced to those teams. But again, I would just watch games. I mean, again, there are so many interesting teams. There's so many interesting storylines that come out of there. And the one thing about MLS is that you have playoffs where virtually anything can happen. And some of the craziest soccer moments that I have seen in my life have come out of MLS playoff games. And they're absolutely fun, and it's wild. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, Premier League, La Liga, Bundesliga, they're all fantastic leagues, but you essentially have kind of a supporter shield deal where, whoever wins and draws the most points during the season gets a trophy, and that's just kind of it, right? And you can have things decided, 4 weeks out, 6 weeks out, and you're just kind of going through the motions a lot the rest of the time and just, seeing who will get relegated. Whereas in MLS, you have this push to the playoffs, and in the playoffs, I mean, and I think they're going to keep this. One of the things that's happened over the last few years is that they've gone away from the aggregate kind of system, and it's just one single elimination knockout game. And like last year with, for example, NYCFC Orlando, you had a crazy penalty kick sequence where the Orlando goalkeeper got a red card and a defender had to come in and put on the gloves. And he made this crazy save on an NYCFC player, and Orlando advanced. Just this wild madcap, incredibly weird but fun match, and you just get those kind of moments in MLS where you don't necessarily get those kind of moments in the European leagues. I mean, you have things like FA Cup, but again, this is for the championship. It is a playoff that results in a winner and a big triumphant moment that is, again, the pinnacle of the league.
Yeah.
So
hey, Phil, the FA Cup is magical. You know this.
It is. I know.
But let me say,
I'm partially FA Cup as an Arsenal fan. but
I'm hoping that we win
it
this year.
Just to have your season come down to a playoffs, I think is something that is maybe a little bit unusual in world soccer, but I think it is something that really makes the regular season compelling in MLS, and then once you get into the playoffs, it is absolutely electric.
Phil, where can people? How much is it to subscribe to the Striker?
I believe the first 30 days are free, and then I want to say it's $5.99 a month. I want to say if I got my mouth right on that. but definitely word that there's a lot of really good writers out of there. I mean, Chris Bills, obviously. Mm-hmm. If you followed soccer in Austin over the last 4 or 5 years, you've seen the incredible work that he's done.
I know you guys got John Arnold.
I'm sorry, what?
John Arnold.
Yeah, John Arnold, I was going to mention. Yeah, I mean, he is the FC Dallas beat writer. Victor Areza is the Houston Dynamo beat writer. John Arnold, he does a CONCACAF newsletter, right, where he just kind of talks about the magical region of the soccer world that we live in. Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I should mention, too, is if you really want to get an MLS, one thing to do is to watch CONCACAF Champions League, which was going on this week, because that is an absolutely wild tournament where you get to see how the MLS teams fare against Liga MX and some of the other, obviously the Central American nations, teams from, Honduras. You had a team from Haiti that was challenging Cruz Azul for a while. There was 0-0 in the first leg, and then it was not 0-0 in the second leg.
That is true, but Phil, as much as I like CONCACAF Champions League, I'm a huge fan of the Champions League. I love that sound. May I please have that shirt, please? Because this has been my week, baby. This has been my week. We're going to the semifinals. Did you catch? Oh, come on. You guys have no taste. Did you happen to catch any of the Champions League's matches? Because, I mean, there was just phenomenal play going on.
Yeah, there was. I mean, my team of choice already got knocked out.
But you guys did okay in Europa League today. You won. Congratulations to Arsenal.
League's great. Yeah, no, Europa League is kind of Arsenal's hope, and as people know, I'm an Arsenal fan, but I'm also a Atletico Madrid fan, and so yeah, ever since they got knocked out, I've been a little less interested.
But they might still win La Liga.
League. I'm sorry.
Atleti still might win La Liga, but it's getting real tight.
It is. Yeah, I know.
but Champions League-wise, I mean, we're going to the Final Four now. City obviously getting through. Real Madrid playing very well under Zidane against the former champions in Liverpool. You have PSG, who, despite not being able to score in the second leg, somehow squeaked through. And then Chelsea, all of a sudden, they have the coaching change. And I guess you can say that they got the easiest draw of the bunch to go against Porto. What has stood out to you during Champions League from any of these matches, like player-wise, performance-wise, and what do you kind of expect going forward for the semifinal as the last four meet up to determine who goes to the Champions League final?
I mean, I think I've really been most impressed with PSG knocking Bayern out because, again, that's a rematch of last year's final, and Bayern still has looked like a really devastating team for most of the season. So I'm a little bit surprised that the result happened there the way that it did. But I certainly think that that's something that, again, they could propel themselves to a title based on that. I mean, again, they did get to the finals last year and they were very close. I mean, I'm just watching part of that game and seeing the goal that Mbappe had. They called it back for offside, but just the force with which he got that finish off and just what he did before that. I mean, it just when he's like that, he is just unstoppable.
He just hammered it.
And then Chelsea, I mean, kudos to Chelsea for getting in the Final Four. I mean, City, obviously, City.
But they almost lost it. They almost lost it. Bellingham with that beautiful, I mean, the kid's 17. He shouldn't have such composure in the box, and he just sweetly moves it over to his other foot and finishes it. As a City fan, I'm there like, oh, we're going to blow it. Pep's going to overthink it. This is not going to end well. We get the penalty. That could have been 50-50. Granted, Mahrez buries the penalty, and then we get this fantastic finish from Phil Foden, another one of these young guys that England seems to be stocking up on. It was a really different performance than what I'm used to seeing from a Manchester City-led side by Pep. Do you think he's finally found whatever the treatment's going to be to rid the curse of not being able to win it with Lionel Messi? Granted, Bayern didn't have Lewandowski, so you got to have everybody healthy.
Yeah, I mean, again, City's loaded. Pep's an excellent coach. I would not be surprised if they won it. I mean, this could very well.
Really?
Be their year to do it.
You think they can win it?
Yeah, I do. I do.
See,
I mean,
how come I'm the one that roots for them and I can't even feel that confident about it still?
Yeah, well, I don't have the attachment you do. So, I mean, I go into every Arsenal and Atleti game with dread, so
natural
I
pessimism.
can absolutely understand what you are feeling. But yeah, I mean, I would say it's between City and PSG right now.
Really?
So,
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I mean, Real has gotten, pretty far, and then there's Chelsea, but I don't see those two teams necessarily as strong and as cohesive top to bottom as I see City and PSG right now.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I would want to see Chelsea in there is because as an American fan, I would love to see Pulisic in the final. Real Madrid, maybe their midfield, they're a little long in the tooth, but this could be their last great performance together. Cruz, Modric. I think they are fantastic players. But like you mentioned, I have to say I agree with you. I really think it's going to be determined by the winner of PSG and City. The last game, even though he didn't score, Neymar really showed me why he was so valuable. And I think the change to that center attacking mid position has really helped his play.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I just think, that they, Neymar has come on better since he has returned from injury. I mean, to me, Mbappe is going to be the difference maker, though. In that, I would still focus on him. I mean, I think that, Neymar needs to step up to be able to get to this next level, but it's really going to be about, him. I mean, you look at the 2018 World Cup. I mean, that team from France was stacked, but it was really him elevating and essentially, I mean, I wouldn't say that he necessarily put the whole team on his back, but definitely the performance that he had brought that team to a whole new level. I mean, he is one of those players, one of a handful in the world that could be singularly transcended on that level. So I really think it's going to come to that. But again, just, what is Pep going to come with in terms of the coaching? I mean, again, if he is really the genius that everybody makes him out to be, and I mean, certainly, he's got a lot to his credit, this is the time, right? So, I mean, this seems like the tournament that if he's going to win a Champions League with City, it seems like it's setting up for that.
See, they don't even think it. I'm supposed to try to think it. I mean, I'm glad that you said those positive words. I mean, it really feels like he just needs a master with a left foot. And he had Messi, maybe Foden. I'm not saying he's the second coming of Messi, obviously, but it would be nice if he could play. It'd be nice if he could play somewhere close, at least to get us the Champions League. I think the quadruple is really within reach, but again, there's going to be some tough fights going against Chelsea in the semifinal, and then they have the English Cup final on Sunday, so it's going to be tough for City. Phil, I got one last thing I want to run through before I let you go. It's a new segment on the show. It's kind of my ode to the throw-in. I want to go over a couple of subjects that I really didn't have a whole lot of time for, so just some quick answers to what I'm going to bring up here. So let's go ahead.
Are we going around the world?
It's kind of like around the world, kind of, but not as funny maybe, just depending on what I have. But let's start with the first question here on the new throw-in portion of the segment, right? Throw-in! There you go. See, it all goes around the world, like you said, Phil. The first question I have for you: have you heard about Olivia Moultrie?
No. I heard the name in passing. Tell me what's going on.
This is the 15-year-old wonder kid who was training with the Thorns at age 13. She's basically breaking the U.S. system as we speak. I feel that if she was a male player, that she would be able to go overseas and get her pro career started. She was already offered a scholarship at age 11 to attend UNC, the one that produced Mia Hamm, but she decided to turn pro at 13. And even though she wants to play in the NWSL, they're kind of saying that she has to wait until she's 18. Do you think that the NWSL is missing out on a prime opportunity to build another homegrown superstar, one that is a true wonder kid, or are they playing it safe by not trying to build another Freddie Adu situation here?
Well, I mean, I'm sure they're playing it safe. And I mean, again, when you have 15-year-old players, I mean, there's probably, other concerns in terms of, just kind of injury and physical development, things like that. I mean, but 15-year-old U.S. superstar.
She's got the skills, Phil.
I'm a huge USWNT fan, so again, I mean, kind of wherever she can develop. I mean, I think obviously there will eventually be a home for her at NWSL if she wants to do that. I mean, obviously, she could also, maybe she's good enough to go to Lyon. And be with that,
that's
just kind of incredible, women's club program.
That's the thing. I'm imagining that her parents were trying to find a way to get over to Lyon and to make it legal. But we will see how that plays out. I think the NWSL is missing out on a terrific chance here. If she can play, she should be able to play. Fix the rules. It's not like the league's been around for a super long time. They can change that. All right, second question, Phil. Wolfsburg, they're sponsoring a team out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. I don't know if you've seen this, but Chattanooga FC, they're getting a sponsorship from the team Wolfsburg for their away kits. Do you think that we'll see some more of those type of partnerships here in the United States?
I mean, I'm sure if one domino falls, you would see that. I mean, again, agreeing to that, I think you would have to, as a club, to agree to have another club sponsor you, you would have to be kind of a little cavalier or a little bit cash strapped, one of the two. I mean, I think it's interesting, but I mean, obviously you've got, partnerships between clubs throughout the world in terms of player exchanges. So, obviously FC Dallas has something with Bayern Munich. So, why not extend that to kid sponsorships? That's fine. I don't have anything against that.
All
if
right.
everybody's in agreement and they want to do that, that's more power.
Okay, Phil, last question, yes or no answer. Gold Cup, should it come to Austin? I know they put the bill in. Would you like to see it here in the ATX?
Oh my God! Of course I would.
Okay, just got to ask. Just had to ask.
I mean, it's going to be a phenomenal stadium. They got to, I want to try to see them use that as much as possible. Yeah, I mean, my dream, in the many dreams that I have for Q2 Stadium is to go to a World Cup qualifier there.
Yeah,
but in the meantime, absolutely, let's have a Gold Cup match here. Yeah, let's
awesome.
do it.
All right, one final thing. Let me check if we have any mail before we go. Do I have any mail, guys?
You've got me.
Apparently I do. Let me see. It's somewhere around. There we go. This comes in from my cousin Dimitri. He's a big Manchester United fan, so that tells you how this is going. Does Manchester United still have a chance to win the Premier League title? Please take everything into account. Well, Phil, I mean, they're kind of behind City, and City's ahead by a lot, but I mean, the schedule, they're playing Europa League. They don't have to win it to get in the Champions League. And they've been playing really well. Fernandes is obviously like the player of the year in the Prem. Maybe because I'm a City fan and I'm not so optimistic, I would say that they still have an outside chance at catching City if they, for some reason, start faltering here down the end, especially trying to concentrate on winning Champions League. What says you?
Yeah, that's the only thing that I'd really, United's look really good in stretches throughout the year, but I would say, again, unless schedule congestion really comes into play, I don't think United's got it. I think City's going to win that. So
there you go, faithful viewer.
Again, I am speaking from a place where my team is 9th place in the table. I don't have the kind of emotional royal that you do. Trying to get a quadruple. So
no, it's a rare thing to happen. It doesn't happen every season, and the team wasn't always this good. But Phil, we're up against the clock now. I want to thank you again for coming on the show, and I hope to have you again real soon to come back on and maybe talk a little bit of how Austin FC is progressing throughout the season. And I hope you enjoyed the opening game on Saturday.
Yeah, you too, and loved it, and absolutely would love to come back on. And yeah, just again, you can find me over at the Striker Texas, along with my fellow writers in soccer. And yeah, this is great. It's good to see you back into the talking to Austin people about soccer game. Really enjoying that. It's a nice suit too, by the way.
Hey man, nice seeing you as well. We'll have you on again real soon. Everybody, Phil
Good,
West. Columnist at the Striker Texas. You can follow him on Twitter at Phil West. All right. At Phil West. Thanks again, Phil. Well, my friends,
all right, take care.
That's going to do it for us here on this episode number 2 of Club Deportes TV and in English. I'm glad that you can join us for this episode. We hope to see you again for the next one. A big thanks again to David Walding, the president and GM of the Central Texas Lobos. And of course, you just saw him, Phil West, the columnist for the Striker Texas, for joining me this week. Fans, it is match day. We earned it. Go out there, enjoy a party. Be safe if you're going out there. Remember to keep distance and wear your mask. We're not through all of this just yet, but enjoy it, man. We've been waiting for so many years. It is happening on Saturday. I'll see you next time.